The 7 comets mark a prophetic alignment signaling transformation and upheaval, and when we begin to consider the magnitude of such an event, we cannot approach it with a casual mind or dismiss it as another celestial phenomenon that will pass unnoticed in the noise of daily life. Throughout human history, comets have always been seen as messengers, carriers of omens, and harbingers of change. They blaze across the sky, unpredictable, untamed, and sudden, shaking human imagination with a reminder that the heavens are alive, dynamic, and speaking to us in symbols. The idea of 7 comets aligning is not merely an astronomical curiosity, it becomes a message written across the canvas of the cosmos, a warning and a revelation, pointing toward transformation of an order that touches not only the physical but also the spiritual, psychological, and collective dimensions of existence. 7 has always held a sacred resonance in spiritual traditions, representing completion, divine orchestration, and cycles of renewal. When 7 comets streak together, it is as if the divine hand is underlining its message 7 times, leaving no room for denial. Imagine all that ancient civilizations would have felt if their skies were torn open by multiple comets at once, the kind of sight that makes people fall to their knees, whispering prayers or trembling with dread. They understood that such events often coincided with shifts of kingdoms, rises of empires, collapses of old orders, and the birth of new epochs. Even in our modern age of technology and science, where we label and calculate celestial movements, we cannot erase the instinctive recognition that these signs carry weight. The comets do not come without reason, they arrive as if summoned at a precise time when humanity has reached a threshold. Transformation is never gentle when the signs are this dramatic. It implies that upheaval is not only expected but necessary, a breaking down of what is stagnant so that what is destined can emerge. These 7 comets represent more than rock and ice illuminated by sunlight. They embody disruption cutting through darkness. Each comet, in its fiery passage, speaks a language older than books, older than temples, older than civilization itself. To the chosen ones, who are attuned to signs, these comets cannot be mistaken for accidents. They are alarms ringing in the night sky, a call that says the time of preparation is ending and the time of action has arrived. Transformation always costs something, and upheaval always unsettles comfort. The lives of those who see themselves as chosen will be rattled in ways that cannot be ignored, because the arrival of 7 comets suggests not just one shift, but a cascade of changes sweeping through all layers of life: social systems, personal destinies, spiritual awakenings, and collective consciousness. Consider how 7 comets, arriving together, mirror the 7 stages of awakening, the 7 seals spoken of in ancient texts, the 7 trumpets that signal judgment, the 7 rays of divine light that pour from the heavens into creation. It is not accidental that the number aligns with so many sacred frameworks. It means the transformation is complete, touching all aspects of existence. Each comet can be imagined as a key unlocking one barrier after another, as though humanity has been sealed off from deeper truths and now the sky itself is breaking the locks. Upheaval in this sense is not chaos for chaos's sake, it is the tearing down of walls that no longer serve, the destruction of illusions that have kept humanity asleep, the collapse of facades that cannot withstand the brilliance of divine fire. The chosen ones, in particular, will feel the impact with greater intensity, because they are tuned to frequencies most of the world cannot perceive. For them, the 7 comets may feel like waves crashing into their very being, stirring memories, triggering visions, and awakening a sense of destiny that has been dormant. Their nights will be restless, their hearts will burn with urgency, and their minds will perceive connections between events that others cannot see. While the world may dismiss the spectacle as an astronomical wonder, the chosen ones will sense the deeper pattern, the whisper beneath the roar, the voice of God or fate telling them to rise, prepare, and step into roles they have long resisted or misunderstood. Transformation and upheaval will not remain confined to the inner world of visions and awakenings. The comets symbolize a disruption that manifests outwardly in the realms of society, politics, environment, and the balance of power. History shows that cosmic signs often coincided with dramatic earthly events. Kingdoms fell when comets appeared, plagues were preceded by lights in the sky, revolutions and rebirths were marked by unusual celestial movements. The 7 comets suggest not a localized shift but a global one, something that will ripple across nations, economies, belief systems, and identities. People will question their leaders, their systems, their faiths, and even their own sense of purpose. Upheaval is frightening because it destabilizes, but it is also the fertile ground for rebirth. The old order resists change fiercely, but the comets declare that resistance will not prevent the inevitable. There is also a deeply personal aspect to this alignment. Every individual who senses the call will find their lives thrust into unexpected transformations. Relationships will be tested, careers will shift, values will be challenged, and identities will be stripped down to their essence. The chosen ones will feel stripped bare, as though the universe itself is demanding authenticity, demanding they abandon masks and step into the light of their true calling. The upheaval here is not cruelty but purification, burning away what is false so that only the truth remains. The fire of the comet becomes symbolic of trial, testing, and refinement, like metal being purified in the furnace until all dross is removed. The alignment of 7 comets is also a reminder of interconnectedness. Just as each comet travels on its own path but converges in the shared sky, so too do individual lives and destinies weave into a larger tapestry. Transformation does not happen in isolation. The upheaval signaled by this event will force connections, communities, and collective actions. People will discover that their choices ripple outward with greater impact than ever before. The chosen ones will see their influence magnified, their words carrying weight, their actions igniting movements. Silence will no longer be an option. The sky itself demands voice, courage, and participation in the unfolding story. When the sky is pierced by 7 rails of fire, it will become impossible to deny that we are living in a time marked by signs. Skeptics will scramble for scientific explanations, and while those explanations may describe the mechanics, they will not erase the deeper truth that the comets are mirrors of the unseen. Transformation does not ask for permission. It arrives like a storm. It shakes foundations. It demands surrender. The upheaval that follows is not an accident but an invitation. To the chosen ones, the 7 comets will be both terrifying and exhilarating, a reminder that they were born for such a time, destined to witness and participate in the rewriting of history, guided not by the comfort of certainty but by the fire of faith and the urgency of destiny. The prophetic alignment of these 7 comets is not about destruction without purpose. It is about tearing open the veil of complacency so that something higher, truer, and more enduring can take root. It is about shifting consciousness from the old patterns of fear, control, and stagnation into new dimensions of awareness, courage, and freedom. The upheaval is a birth process, messy and painful, but necessary for the arrival of something extraordinary. The chosen ones will be midwives to this birth, holding the line, carrying the flame, guiding others through the darkness of confusion into the dawn of awakening. The solar eclipse serves as a divine veil, revealing hidden truths and testing the chosen ones. And when we begin to think about the nature of an eclipse, it is clear that it is not simply an astronomical occurrence where the moon passes between the Earth and the Sun but rather an event heavy with symbolism that transcends cultures, traditions, and ages. Across history, solar eclipses have been feared, revered, and interpreted as signs of the divine hand intervening in human affairs. The sudden darkening of the sun, the moment when daylight falters and shadows lengthen unnaturally, has always struck people with awe and dread, as though the universe itself pauses, holds its breath, and prepares to whisper secrets long concealed. For the chosen ones, the eclipse does not arrive as a random celestial pattern but as a deliberate curtain drawn across the sky, a signal that what was hidden will come into view, and what was comfortable will be tested by forces greater than human will. The sun has always represented clarity, power, illumination, and life. When it shines, everything is visible, growth is possible, and the rhythms of the world flow naturally. The moon, with its mystery and shadow, passing before the sun creates a moment where clarity is obscured, power is veiled, and light is challenged by darkness. This cosmic play becomes a metaphor for the inner and outer struggles of humanity, but more intensely for those who identify as chosen ones. In that suspended moment when the sun is swallowed by shadow, truths emerge that daylight could never reveal. The hidden becomes visible, not in the literal sense but in the spiritual sense, where veils of illusion are stripped away, where secrets long buried rise to the surface, where the masks people wear fall powerless against the overwhelming silence of the eclipse. The chosen ones will feel this unveiling in their souls. Things they thought were resolved will resurface, truths they tried to ignore will confront them, and hidden aspects of their calling will demand recognition. The eclipse serves as a mirror that does not flatter but reflects the raw, unedited self. It becomes impossible to hide from oneself during such a cosmic alignment. Those who are called cannot remain in denial, for the very heavens conspire to drag hidden truths into their consciousness. The test here is not only about seeing these truths but about enduring them, embracing them, and transforming under their weight. The eclipse becomes the furnace in which authenticity is forged, where those who are false crumble and those who are genuine rise refined. Beyond the personal revelation, the solar eclipse is a collective unveiling. Whole societies are forced to confront the truths they have hidden behind institutions, ideologies, and distractions. Corruption, deception, and hidden agendas thrive under constant light because they become normalized, camouflaged in busyness. But the eclipse disrupts this illusion. The pause in natural order shocks people into awareness, demanding that they see what they have ignored. Prophets, mystics, and seers across ages understood that eclipses were times when the veil between the seen and unseen thinned, when divine judgment pressed closer, when messages from beyond were more accessible. In this way, the eclipse is both a revelation and test, offering clarity to those willing to see while challenging the blind comfort of those unwilling to awaken. For the chosen ones, the test of the eclipse is especially severe because their destinies are not just personal but interwoven with the fate of others. Their choices, their ability to face truth, and their capacity to endure will ripple outward, influencing those around them, guiding or failing to guide the communities they are meant to serve. The eclipse does not allow passive spectatorship. It demands engagement. The chosen ones will find themselves tested in loyalty, faith, courage, and endurance. They may face visions, dreams, or revelations that terrify them, showing them paths they would rather not walk or sacrifices they would rather not make. The shadow of the moon over the sun is not a gentle nudge, it is a forceful reminder that destiny does not wait for comfort. The eclipse also symbolizes the struggle between light and shadow, not as enemies but as forces that coexist in balance. In that moment of darkness, the chosen ones are reminded that truth is not always found in brightness and clarity but sometimes in silence and shadow. The truths revealed are not always pleasant. They can be unsettling, painful, and destabilizing, yet they are truths that cannot be ignored without consequence. The test lies in whether the chosen ones can accept what is revealed, whether they can hold space for darkness without being consumed by it, whether they can recognize that even the shadow plays a role in awakening. The solar eclipse is a reminder that revelation is rarely simple, that awakening comes at the cost of comfort, and that truth demands a price that few are willing to pay. The power of the eclipse to expose hidden truths extends into relationships, systems, and even personal identities. Friendships and alliances that appeared strong may suddenly fracture when underlying motives are revealed. Institutions may falter as secrets long buried rise to the surface. Leaders may be exposed for who they truly are, and those who have been silenced may find their voices amplified. For the chosen ones, the eclipse becomes a clarion call to discernment, demanding that they look beyond appearances and perceive the essence of things. Their ability to see truth when others are blinded will set them apart, but it will also make them targets, for truth is rarely welcomed by those who benefit from deception. The testing of the chosen ones during the eclipse is not limited to external challenges. Their inner world will be the battleground where fear, doubt, and shadow aspects of their own being emerge. The eclipse will strip away illusions they have held about themselves, confronting them with the reality of who they are and who they are meant to be. This confrontation may feel unbearable, but it is necessary for transformation. Hidden strengths will also be revealed, abilities they never fully recognized will come to the forefront, and callings they tried to avoid will become undeniable. The test is not merely to endure but to evolve, to step into alignment with the truths uncovered by the eclipse. Throughout time, cultures saw solar eclipses as omens of great change, at the fall of kings, the rise of nations, the shifting of eras. It is no coincidence that such events often marked turning points in history. The chosen ones today stand at a similar threshold. The eclipse on September 22, 2025, is not just a celestial curiosity but a divine marker in time, signaling that hidden truths are about to explode into visibility, that the world is being tested, and that those called to carry light must first endure darkness. The divine veil of the eclipse does not conceal forever, it conceals for a purpose, to heighten the power of revelation when the light returns. The test lies not only in what is revealed but in how the chosen ones respond. Will they cower in fear, clinging to illusions even as they crumble, or will they embrace the painful clarity and rise into the roles they were meant to inhabit? The eclipse does not offer easy answers, it forces choice. It pushes the chosen ones into the crucible where their faith, resolve, and authenticity are tested. The divine veil falls not to blind but to sharpen sight, not to conceal forever but to prepare hearts for what they must face. Those who pass the test will emerge with vision sharpened, hearts strengthened, and spirits aligned with divine will, ready to guide others through the upheavals and transformations that the comet alignment and eclipse together herald for the world. September 22, 2025, becomes the turning point where destiny, warning, and awakening collide, and this moment will not pass quietly as another date in the calendar but will stand as a threshold, a doorway into a new sequence of human history that cannot be reversed once it is crossed. When we consider how rare it is for cosmic signs to converge with such intensity, 7 comets blazing in the heavens and a solar eclipse casting its veil upon the earth on the same day, we must understand that this is no ordinary alignment of planets or cycles. It is a declaration, it is a cosmic stamp pressed upon time itself, marking a division between what was before and what comes after. The chosen ones, those who have sensed the weight of destiny pressing on their shoulders for years, will feel this moment as both burden and release, as both an ending and a beginning. They will know instinctively that September 22 is not just another day, but a day written into the marrow of their existence, a day they were meant to see, a day that calls them into a role they can no longer escape. Destiny has always been a difficult word because it implies both inevitability and responsibility. To say that something is destined is to say that it must come to pass, yet it also demands that those chosen to bear it must rise into their part. On September 22nd, destiny will not be abstract, it will be tangible, woven into the skies themselves, written in fire across the heavens. The 7 comets will speak of divine orchestration, of the fullness of cycles, of completion and renewal. The eclipse will draw a curtain across the sun, forcing humanity to pause, to reflect, and to confront what lies in shadow. Together, they declare the time has reached a fulcrum, and the world will tilt. The chosen ones are not spectators in this drama, they are central figures. They are the ones who will hear the warnings clearly, who will be awakened more fully, who will carry the weight of guiding others through upheaval. Warnings are never sent without purpose. They come not to frighten but to prepare, not to crush but to awaken. The warnings embedded in the skies of September 22nd are layered and multifaceted. They warn that the structures humanity has built, a political, economic, cultural, and spiritual, are unstable and will be shaken. They warn that individuals cannot continue living asleep, blind to truth, numb to calling, indifferent to purpose, without consequence. They warn that the time of ignoring signs has ended, that the heavens themselves have declared that humanity has entered a season where choices will define not only personal lives but the collective fate of generations. The chosen ones, in particular, cannot afford to ignore these warnings. They have been given sight, sensitivity, and spiritual awareness for a reason, and on this day, those gifts will be tested. The warnings will pierce them more deeply, the urgency will strike their hearts more fiercely, and the demand to act will thunder in their spirits with a force that cannot be silenced. Awakening is the inevitable response to such a convergence of signs. Though awakening is rarely gentle, it is disruptive, jarring, and uncomfortable. On September 22nd, awakening will not be a choice for the chosen ones, it will be an imposition. Their spirits will be stirred, their vision sharpened, their senses heightened, dreams will intensify, revelations will break through, and synchronicities will multiply. Everything they thought they understood about themselves, their calling, and their role in this unfolding drama will be expanded, sometimes painfully so. Awakening is never only about personal enlightenment, it is about being equipped to fulfill a role in the collective shift. The chosen ones will be awakened not only to their own hidden truths but also to the responsibilities they carry for others. They will feel the weight of guiding, warning, healing, and protecting. The eclipse and the comets together act as trumpet blast, summoning them out of dormancy into active participation. Destiny, warning, and awakening colliding together means that September 22nd is not simply symbolic but catalytic. This day will set in motion a chain of events that ripple outward for years, perhaps decades. Those who ignore the signs will find themselves swept into the tide of upheaval unprepared, while those who recognize them will navigate with clarity, though not without struggle. The chosen ones stand at the center of this divide. They are both tested and tasked. They must face their own hidden fears, the truths they would rather ignore, and the sacrifices they hope to avoid. Yet they must also step forward into leadership, guidance, and influence, carrying the light of understanding into a world that will be plunged into confusion. September 22nd will act as the first strike of a bell that reverberates long after the sound fades, shaking hearts, minds, and systems alike. The uniqueness of this moment cannot be overstated. History is filled with dates of significance, battles, discoveries, revolutions, inventions, yet those dates are often remembered only after the fact. September 22nd is different because its significance is declared beforehand, written not in the scrolls of men but in the heavens above. The skies themselves testify that this day is appointed, ordained, and unavoidable. The warnings are visible to all, but not all will interpret them rightly. The chosen ones, however, will feel them in their bones, as though their very DNA resonates with the alignment. For them, the day will be unforgettable. It will mark the point where they can no longer deny their calling, where they can no longer blend into ordinary life, where they must embrace that their destiny is entwined with a cosmic narrative much larger than themselves. Awakening on this scale is both exhilarating and terrifying. To see clearly is to lose the comfort of illusion. To understand deeply is to lose the ignorance that shielded from responsibility. On September 22nd, the chosen ones will awaken to the reality that their lives are not accidents, that their struggles have shaped them for this time, that their pain has been preparation, and that their gifts are not for self-indulgence but for service. They will awaken to the urgency of time, to the fragility of the systems around them, to the spiritual war raging beneath the surface of daily life. They will awaken to the recognition that the veil between the seen and unseen has been torn thinner than ever before. This awakening will not be easy, but it will be necessary, and those who embrace it will find themselves transformed into the very leaders, healers, and guides the world will desperately need in the aftermath of the upheaval. The warnings, though frightening, carry within them the seed of hope. They declare not only that danger is near but also that preparation is possible, that guidance is available, that destiny is still unfolding toward a greater purpose. The chosen ones must not interpret the signs as messages of doom but as calls to readiness. They must prepare their hearts, their minds, and their spirits. They must let go of distractions, illusions, and compromises. They must sharpen their discernment, deepen their faith, and anchor themselves in truth. The eclipse and comets together signal that the time for passivity has ended. Action is demanded, and the chosen ones will find that even their smallest choices reverberate with significance. This convergence of destiny, warning, and awakening also emphasizes that humanity is at a collective crossroads. The choices made in the days and years following September 22nd will shape the trajectory of nations, communities, and generations. The chosen ones will be central to this unfolding. Their willingness to heed the warnings, embrace their awakening, and step into their destiny will determine whether they become beacons of light in the storm or fade into the confusion like so many others. The test is immense, but so is the potential. This moment is a reminder that history is not only shaped by kings and empires but also by individuals who rise into their calling at precisely the right time. September 22, 2025, is not simply a date to be remembered but a turning point that divides history, a cosmic signal that the time of waiting has ended. The collision of destiny, warning, and awakening on this day will be felt across the world. Though few will understand it fully, for the chosen ones, it will be undeniable. They will know in their spirits that something has shifted forever. They will feel the weight of responsibility and the fire of calling. They will sense the urgency to act, to prepare, to awaken others. The day will not pass like any other. It will sear itself into memory, marking the end of an old chapter and the beginning of something new. The world will not be the same, and neither will they. This is why September 22nd must be heeded, for it is not only a date but a destiny, not only a warning but a revelation, not only an awakening but a summons. The heavens themselves declare that everything will change, and the chosen ones must rise to meet it. Those who are willing to see will see, those who are willing to hear will hear, and those who are willing to awaken will find themselves standing at the threshold of a new world, prepared to carry the light into the darkness and the truth into the confusion. September 22nd will not just mark a turning point in time, it will mark the awakening of a generation, and the chosen ones will be the ones who carry that awakening forward.